So here we are. It's wonderful to see you, Richard. I wanted to just say a little to our friends in Japan. I'm Vivian Gay. I am the International Sales Director for Silver Oak and Twomey Cellars. And we're having a little conversation to do today with Richard from Vinasia. I'm so sorry that I can't be in Japan with you all. Obviously, times are rather unpredictable right now, and for many, very difficult. But this too will pass, and I will be able to come visit. And meanwhile, we are happy to be able to show you our wines. And we want to wish you and your family the very best health. Look after yourselves. And we always look forward to drinking wine, because remember, life is a Cabernet, and we're going to share a glass in a little bit together. So, Richard.
Yes, Vivian.
Hi.
Hello there.
Hello there. I thought I might talk a little bit about the history of Silver Oak. Does that sound like a good idea?
I think it's fantastic. It's a fantastic winery that we at Vinasia have been able to visit many times, of course. And we never get tired of going there. So why don't you tell me the history of Silver Oak?
Silver Oak was founded in 1972. California was very different in 1972. It was nothing like it is now. There were only about 20 wineries in Napa Valley and about the same in Sonoma County. Now there are over 500 wineries in each of the counties. So in the last 50 years, the California wine industry has grown extraordinarily. But in the late 60s, our founder, Raymond Toomey Duncan, was invited to come and visit Northern California from Colorado, where he was a wildcat oilman. And he was invited by his friends who had bought vineyards in both Napa and Sonoma. And he visited and fell in love with the area and decided to do the very same thing. So he purchased vineyards in Napa and in Sonoma County, in Alexander Valley. His original idea was to be a gentleman farmer. But as luck would have it, he met a man, an out-of-work winemaker actually, because he had been a brother at Christian Brothers and had had to leave the order because he had fallen in love with a woman, Bonnie. And this man was named Justin, Justin Meyer. And as an out-of-work winemaker, he was looking for a job. And he met Ray over a lunch, and they liked each other. And Justin said, you know, you need a winemaker. I think we should create a brand. Mm-hmm. Together, they created Silver Oak. So they were the co-founders of Silver Oak, Justin Meyer and Raymond Toomey Duncan.
Fantastic. How did the name Silver Oak come about?
That's a wonderful question. I love talking about that. There are two roads that run up Napa Valley. One is the Silverado Trail, and the other is Highway 29 that goes through a little town of Oakville Crossroads, where there used to be the post office. We are located, the winery was in an old milk barn, and it was located on the Oakville Crossroads between Oakville and the Silverado Trail. So the winery was supposed to be called Duncan Meyer. And we have labels at the winery that show, printed labels that show that we were going to call it Duncan Meyer. Well, Duncan Meyer kind of sounds like a lawyer or maybe a donut. And so Bonnie one day, the wife of Justin Meyer, they were having dinner and she said, we can't call this Duncan Meyer. You know, we're between Silverado Trail and Oakville. I think we should call the winery Silver Oak. And the story goes that she picked up the phone, called Ray, who was in Colorado, which is where he was from, and said, look, Ray, if we don't hear from you by tomorrow, the winery is going to be called Silver Oak. Ray never called back. Silver Oak is the name.
Great. Now, how does Toomey tie in with Silver Oak and Silver Oak tie in with Toomey, and how does that all work out for you?
So Toomey is part of the family winery. So in 1999, we purchased a vineyard in the southeast corner of Napa for our Silver Oak Napa Valley wine. And growing on this vineyard was some Merlot that reminded our winemaker, who was at that point working alongside Justin. He had come aboard as the assistant winemaker, Daniel Barron, and he reminded him of the grapes that he had worked with the Merlot grapes that he had worked with when he was at Petrus at Pomerol. And also he had been the founding winemaker of Dominus. So he'd worked very much with Merlot. Mm-hmm. So he wanted to make a single vineyard Napa Valley Merlot. And he went to the Duncan family and he said, I'd really want to do this. And they said, this is fabulous. We should do this. But we can't call it Silver Oak because Silver Oak is synonymous to Cabernet. Remember, to be 1972 to 1999, the only wine Silver Oak made was Cabernet, and we wanted to continue with that. So they said, hey, but let's expand. And so that's how the name Toomey came about. Toomey is a family name, Raymond Toomey Duncan being the founder, together with Justin, and it was his mother's maiden name. It's an Irish name, and if you go to Ireland now around Cork, you'll find a lot of Toomey pubs. So Toomey started with Merlot, and we saw an opportunity, actually, that allowed us to make other varietals. So we started making a little Pinot Noir, and then eventually growing around our winery in Calistoga, where we make the Merlot, we also found there was some Sauvignon Blanc growing. And so we started making a small amount of Sauvignon Blanc. Toomey now has really become very focused on Pinot Noir. Merlot, we make a very limited amount of Merlot. And Toomey, it allows us to explore other grape varietals other than Cabernet.
Please tell me, if you could, how many wineries total now are in the Toomey Silver Oak or the Silver Oak Toomey business?
There are 6, and I have them here on the screen. Let's look. So the main winery is our Silver Oak, the founder, if you like, is the Silver Oak Napa Valley Winery, which is up here in your top left. And then we have our new state-of-the-art modern green Silver Oak Alexander Valley Winery in the southern end of Alexander Valley in Sonoma County. Toomey, the first winery, was the winery up here, which is our Merlot winery. The vineyards are about half an hour south in Napa Valley, and this is situated at the north end of Napa in Calistoga. And then in 2006, we purchased here in Russian River, our Russian River winery, where up until last July, we were making all of our Pinot Noirs. But then last July 2019, we purchased a winery in Anderson Valley. And then a few years back, and still not a winery here, but we do have a tasting room that's open by appointment only. We now have a vineyard in Oregon. Toomey has 4 properties and Silver Oak has 2 properties. And we are now making from Toomey with the Pinot Noir, we're making Pinot from as far south as Santa Barbara County, from Bien Nacido, where we purchase fruit, and as far north now, of course, from Oregon, from our Prince Hill vineyard. Japan gets a little bit of the Oregon Pinot Noir. Internationally, I believe I got 3 cases last year. 3 cases all went to Japan.
Could you tell me a little bit about the new AV winery?
So yes, this is our state-of-the-art LEED Platinum winery. Wow, it's actually about 8 years ago. The Duncan family decided to buy more property in Alexander Valley. Our winery, the Alexander Valley Winery, was at that point located in the north end of Alexander Valley in Geyserville. But we were kind of growing out of it. And it was never a winery that we built, so it wasn't the easiest winery for the winemakers to work in. So we purchased this land in the southern end of Alexander Valley, almost contiguous to some other vineyards that we had. We purchased it for the earth because the earth in this area was some of the best earth in the county. And we were going to renovate the old winery that was there. It was Sausal before. But as we were looking at the plans, David saw an opportunity. He's always been interested in the environment. He's always been interested in being the steward of the land. He's always been interested in sustainability. And his niece, Haley Duncan, had just, I want to say matriculated, but that's the wrong word, had just left college with a degree in environmental science. And she is an environmentalist. So we made the decision to build from scratch an absolutely green winery that was named the first winery to get the LEED Platinum certification, which means leader in energy and environmental design. But then this year, just in this last month, in April 2020, we became the first winery to earn the Living Building Challenge, which means that it's an incredibly rigorous performance standard for buildings. And it meant that we had to gain certification in the 7 petals: place, water, energy, health and happiness of the employees, materials that we used, equity, and also beauty. And we are the only winery in the world to have gained this certification. And we're the 23rd building, I believe, 23rd building in the world to gain this certification. It really says a lot to the commitment of the Duncan family, to sustainability, to being innovative as well, and being green. And of course, it says an enormous amount to Haley, who led the charge. Haley is in her late 20s and is really an amazing young lady.
The winery as a whole must be very proud of that fact.
Yes, and yes, they are. We're extremely proud, and we were able to announce it on Earth Day whilst we're all sheltering in paradise here in Sonoma and Napa. And it's a big deal. And we will be getting, I believe, quite a bit of press around this because it is very unique.